Good morning again. Good morning. This is still Friday, September 4th, 2020, and the time is 7:39 a.m. This is my third video for the day. The first one is still loading up. It's going to take a while. It's going to take 2 hours, and then I have a second video, and that I will only upload. That one I'll only upload once the first one uploads, and then I want to do this one. This one I hope is going to be quick. It's all on the same vein of thought about elevating oneself to get to the next level. Excuse me. I feel in my heart to say these things, and a lot of times when I do my videos, I'm actually talking to myself. I'm teaching myself in the process. But as I get insight on something, I share it. Now, the first two videos I talked about were blacks in the school system and why it's in the condition that it's in, and that's primarily the first video, and then the second one comparing, different black celebrities and where their children, what schools they go to, and that it's not what you think. They might be performing and communicating one thing, but they're not practicing it. Their kids are not going to schools in the ghetto, okay? And the examples I gave was Cardi B and Beyonce, and that they live in opulence, okay? And they have enough common sense to not. Now Cardi B, she just has her kid is about 2 years of age, so But I doubt Cardi B is going to have her daughter in a school in the South Bronx, okay? And nothing wrong with the South Bronx, but when you have resources, you use them, okay? Use your head. But what I wanted to talk about now in this one, about the health clubs, but it's not really about health clubs. It could be any institution. And I saw recently a video, and there was someone who, like a bodybuilder, a black bodybuilder, and they went to a health club, to use a gym. Now, there are gyms that you're not actually a member. You're not a member, but you want to utilize the gym, and you can pay for the day. Let's say you're out of town and you're preparing for a competition, and you need to just pump up a little bit, whatever. And so you go to a club, you pay for the visit. And so that's what this one guy did. He is a black person, and he went with some other people, and they went denied entry, and they even called the establishment called the police on them, and they were angry, and it went viral on YouTube and social media. But I want to say something about this. I know of the place where they went to. I used to have a membership there. Now this place is a place that it was new at the time. I had gotten membership soon after it opened. Not to, pretty soon once it opened, and it looked very attractive, and I wanted something nice looking, clean, all that. And I know right off, anyone who goes to a place, who's even attracted to a place like that, they're going in there because they want they want and they expect certain behaviors, certain attitudes. They're prepared to experience a certain type of mindset. Okay, it's expected that it's to be, the equipment to work, of course, all that. But it's more than just having equipment that works, because you can go to another place for that. Just like some people go to certain types of restaurants, some want go in and get fast food, and some people, they want the ambiance and all that. Now, if you go to a place that has the ambiance, you better dress the part and act the part. Because what you're saying is when you don't go in with certain etiquettes, you are actually disrespecting that institution and what it wants to stand for. Now, you don't have to stand for or believe in certain people's belief system or an establishment's belief system. You don't go in. Or to be aware of what it could be, and if you still want to go in, you have to modify certain behaviors or dress, etc. Now, the people, these weightlifters, that now they were competitors. They're supposed to be known in the industry, and even they were turned down. And the front desk had these two women, white women, and they were adamant, and it was allegedly said, that the guy smelled of marijuana. Now, when I heard that, it sounds very stereotype, right? And demeaning, right? Now, I don't know whether that was true or not. But the message that I want to say is something that you really got to listen to. See, when you go to a place, be aware of what type of establishment. This is any place, whether it's a health club or whether it's a high-end store, a statusy place, or let's say a restaurant. All these establishments, you better know the conduct, like the culture behind that place of how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to talk and act. That's why some of these places are established for those people who are in the know. And they network, socialize of mindsets, similar mindsets. That's where they go and meet. Okay, you got to meet somewhere. And remember, before in the New York City's health clubs, the health clubs was a social club, primarily where white men met and did who knows what in those clubs, in their networking. That's what it was initially. And then the trend came on, started to really developing for the regular people to go in and get into these health clubs. Okay? That was in the early 80s, late 90s, early 80s. But sometimes people want to go in without knowing the terrain. They may not dress the part. They might dress like a slob. Let's say a tie. Some restaurants, a tie is required if you're a guy, and they will not let you in. Okay? So if you go in because you heard of it, and then you cry racism when it's not. Okay? Because that same place has black people that work in there. Okay, maybe those two girls at the front desk were white, but the people, when I went in there, they had black people. At least when I went there 2 days ago. 1 or 2 days ago. And they're black people in there. All types of people in there. But you have to follow certain protocol, certain rules of conduct, culture. You go to a place that wants to pride itself as high end, you better act high end. Be polite, dress the part, dress neat, and make sure you don't smell like things that are questionable. Okay? Because it's all about money. They want to make money. That was a new establishment and they want to make money. And when I went there initially, it could have been 3 or 4 years ago. And they were very respectful, but you better play the part. You better be special. Remember, you go in a place like that, play the part. And stop acting streety. See, we are to leave our streety behind. You want to be considered, you want to be respected, you have to be respectable. You have to follow the rules. People don't care where you come from. People care how you act, how you behave, how you dress for an establishment. Because again, you are coming into it, and it has expectations, and people are afraid to be pulled down. People invest so much in their lives sometimes, their businesses, and they want to keep a certain veneer. And they don't mind people, but you play the game. You play the culture. It's a culture. If you don't like that culture, you don't go in there. So, this is important. Anywhere you go, especially in New York City, certain establishments. And the problem oftentimes is how you present yourself. It's not just wearing a Gucci bag, it's the whole package. If you act like a street person, you're going to be treated like a street person. You have a pig and you put a thing of pearls around the neck. It's not a elegant pig. It's a pig with a neck with pearls around its neck. You have to transform your mind. Or go with a guest who knows. Be somebody's guest. You say, look, I want to learn about this culture. I want to be able to mingle with people like this, of this caliber. So you make sure you keep a low profile and let that person instruct you how to speak, act, dress, even your hair, and definitely don't wear something that smells like marijuana. Okay? Because they're sizing you up. Have any of you ever heard of Gloria Vanderbilt? I'm sure those of you who are 50s and up have heard of her. She is a socialite. She is New York, old New York. She's of Dutch ancestry, and if those who didn't know, New York City and Manhattan Island was a Dutch colony. So you have the early Dutch settlers, and then it was taken over by the British. And that's why they call it now New York, because York is a name of a person from Britain. Okay? So from New Amsterdam, Amsterdam is a city in Holland, or the Netherlands, it's the same place. And they call it New Amsterdam. And then they changed it to New York once the British took over and named it after a British subject. So Gloria Vanderbilt is old money and a socialite, and she was dating this black American fellow who was he was a famous jazz singer. Okay, I think he passed away. Yeah, they're like in the late, at least Gloria Vanderbilt, she might be in her late 80s or even 90s. Okay, very elegant woman, and she was dating the black American fellow. His name was Bobby Short, very well known in his day, very good musician, and the two were dating and they were to live together. And okay, she had him in her environment. Okay, he knew basically how to carry himself around rich white people, but she let him know and educated him how to act and carry himself. But even in spite of all that, yes, when the two were to move in together and to get this uh, condo, co-op or something, they were denied because of racism. So there you have it. That. So it might sound like I'm contradicting myself. That doesn't matter how you dress now. That some things call a spade, and racism does exist in America, strongly so. But there are instances. Well, the reason why I mentioned about him, see, she was teaching him certain things, how to, the social circles, behavior. And that same man, Bobby Short, in an interview that I saw on YouTube, and he had a nephew, and he told the nephew, when you go in a restaurant and when you walk in, or something like that, you're a black man first in their eyes. And you make sure that you conduct yourself in a specific way because of that. And then they get to see the person. But the first thing they see, Bobby Short, even though he was dating this rich white woman, this socialite, old money, old New York money, he knew that as a black man, despite his elegance, his skills as a musician, he knew he was a black man first, and because of that he was in their world, he had to conduct himself and be more aware of how he looked in public to be accepted enough, to be tolerated, to sit amongst these rich white folk. And he taught his nephew that. Okay? Hopefully the nephew took it to heart and learned from it. So I say for you too, that, see, now we want access to things that we were excluded in historically. And health clubs were one of those things. And we think that we could come in our ghetto self, in our language that we speak, in the way that we dress, or maybe certain scents that we wear on our bodies that is not liked in these new environments. For example, and I'm sure many of you have seen this show. Have you ever heard of this show, the Beverly Hillbillies? Now, that was a show that came out in the 1950s, and yes, it was to mark what people would call poor white trash in the Appalachians. I'm just calling it as it is. People are people, and people shouldn't be judged because they aren't born with a gold spoon. But that show was to, for whatever reason, to make light of poor people who want to, they made it rich. They had found oil, and then they moved to Beverly Hills. Now, why would they want to move to Beverly Hills and not change their behavior? the fact that they said, we're poor people from Appalachia, but let's move to Beverly Hills, but keep the same mindset. They wore the same poor clothes. They did everything by hand. They lived in a big building, a mansion, but did poor things. They didn't educate themselves. You should watch it. So just to understand my point. And black people are really no different than this Appalachia in their eyes. Watch, I'm sure it must be on YouTube, clips of it, and you see exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, the Beverly Hillbillies is an exaggeration, but it's to make a point, black people, that you want to start to get into places that maybe historically excluded you because of racism. I'm not trying to pretend it doesn't exist. It exists. But when you go into an establishment, whether it be a restaurant, a high-end restaurant, a health club, museums, you better learn ahead of time. Maybe you can read books on how to behave, what we call etiquette. And teach yourself how to conduct yourself in certain establishments. Or ask someone, hey, you go into this thing, hey, could you show me how it works? How I want to improve myself. I want to meet different people that I could possibly get connections with. See, these places are there to connect. It's not just to sit on your butt. It's to hook up with other people for business opportunities, maybe a potential mate, etc. But you have to follow the game. And if you're not willing to play the game, then don't go in there. And don't cry wolf and make us all look stupid out there on YouTube and cry wolf that, oh, they're racist and this and that. And you may not have conducted yourself in a particular way. When you go and do a walk-in, to walk in a building, and if you don't have membership but you want to borrow their facilities and pay for the day, you make sure the people that you're with aren't acting gamey. Because yes, I'm pretty sure that certain establishments, and those girls or guys at the front desk say, hey, if these people look like shit and acting or whatever, don't let them in. And they have a right to exclude. Okay? We have to, as black people, use wisdom. Use wisdom, black folk, white folk, Hispanic folk. Use wisdom. So that's all that I want to say. And I say it with love. We have to start educating ourselves and stop always crying out racism. Yes, racism is rampant in America. I would be a liar. But some things is not racism. It's how you carry yourself, how you look. Like Bobby Short said, when you get into a restaurant, you'll be perceived as a black person first. So make sure you're behaved. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this. And, these rap stars and stuff, Beyonce and Jay-Z, you think that they're going to carry themselves at these parties like how they act in the video? No. Okay? They have enough wisdom than that. Okay? So, learn and educate yourself. You don't know how to conduct yourself in something? Go read a book on etiquette. They used to have schools on etiquette. How to walk, how to talk. They have it. Take advantage of it if you can. If you really want to do this thing for you and stop um, getting unnecessary attention, the unnecessary attention, the bad attention. That's what I mean. So thank you again, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay? Bye bye.